Hi, in this tutorial, I'm gonna be demonstrating to you a facial wax. We're gonna be waxing eyebrows, lips, nose, chin and face sides. I'm gonna be using half of her face with soft wax and half of her face with hard wax. But make sure you ask the client if she's using any kind of medication that thins out her skin, because that's gonna make a big difference in the end before you apply the wax. Hi Stephanie, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Is it going to be your very first time that you're doing face waxing? Or have you done it before?
I have done it before.
Okay, good. Are you using any medication that I need to know that thins out your skin? Any acne medication? Any prescribed medication at all that I need to know? Have you done any laser on your face? Okay, perfect. So Stephanie is a good candidate to use both waxes. So I'm gonna start by grabbing my gloves and I'm gonna go ahead and cleanse her skin before I apply the powder. You can close your eyes. So I'm gonna cleanse her skin everywhere where she's getting the wax done. Her lip. I'm actually gonna do a little bit on her nose as well and do a demo for the nose waxing, and her chin and her face sides. It's very important that you communicate to the client and let her know that if she's doing her facial wax for the very first time, there are big chances of breaking out. So if she has an event going on the next couple days, please advise them. I would suggest not to do right before an event, but if the client really insists, go ahead, suggest it. Put Neosporin right after, but let her know that she may break out after that if it is her very first time. So I'm gonna apply the powder, and the purpose for the powder is to create a barrier on her skin. So put a little bit on your hands so you have a good amount of powder, and spread through all the areas that she's gonna be waxing. And her chin a little bit. It's like almost like an extra dead skin to protect her skin. So the powder is very important. If you don't apply the powder, there are risks of skin lifting, so you cannot avoid that. So right now I'm gonna grab my small sticks. I'll grab several here. I'm gonna uncover my waxes. And as I said, we're gonna be doing each side different types of wax. So I'm gonna start doing with my soft wax. So grab the strips, grab enough strips because you don't want it to keep going back to your drawer. Leave everything here on the top. So I'm grabbing a very thin layer of wax. As you can see, do not get too much because you don't want it spread all over. You're just using a little bit on her face. This is the soft wax. It adheres more to the skin, so you cannot go too wide with it. So you're gonna apply on your client. Don't go too close to the shape. You can always redo the shape. You can always go closer with the tweezing. So apply the wax carefully. Do never go too close to here, just from the center to the end. Do not go by the eyelid. That's everything you're gonna do. It's just the basic, just a clean up. And in the very end, we're gonna use the tweezing to perfect her shape. So put some pressure right after and release. So you just wanted to do the cleanup. Whatever left over, you're gonna pluck. Like I said, this wax is very sticky. You don't want it to apply too wide on her skin. Now I'm gonna do the top. I'm grabbing another wood stick and I'm gonna do her top. You can choose if you wanna trim in the end or trim in the beginning. I usually like trimming in the end. But some people like trimming in the beginning. That doesn't make much sense, much difference, I'm sorry. Doesn't make much difference. So whenever you're applying to the top of her eyebrows, you can go very close to the shape. Just the bottom, it's a little bit trickier. You shouldn't go too close because once the wax is on, then the hair is gone. So, doing 2 separate pulls, so 1 and 2. And her skin is great. So now I'm gonna do the center of her eyebrows with the same wax. So you know that every time you're doing the center, you're applying the wax up. Do never go too wide. Sometimes people have those little hair growing up, and sometimes people think they have to take it off. Don't. Everything you can do after you analyze with the tweezers, to never go too crazy on the wax. Once it's gone, it's gone. If you notice it still gets very red and you think her skin is very sensitive and irritated, switch to another wax. Switch to a hard wax right away. Don't even complete with the same wax. So the other side of her brows, I'm gonna use the hard wax. The hard wax and the soft wax are waxes imported from Brazil. They're all natural. I'm gonna apply the same way you apply the soft wax, you're gonna apply the hard wax. However, with the hard wax, you don't use the strips. Our hard wax, it's very different than many others because you only use a very thin layer and it dries almost like instantly. So you got all the hair there. However, if the client has a good skin, doesn't get too sensitive, and she doesn't mind whatever wax she's using, she doesn't have any concerns, I would use the soft because you only apply once, the job is done, especially for the lip, face side only. So with the hard wax, it's only for people who really have a concern. So you don't want to do hard wax. I would say hard wax for 10% of the clients. Really mature skin, people on ongoing medication, as I already said many times. But it's good to be repeating so you really understand the purpose of each one of them. So I'm gonna do the bottom part. Don't get too much wax. Always for the brows, use a little bit of wax. So make sure you do from half all the way to the end. And you can see that this hard wax dries instantly. I put my hands right on top and it's dry. And I can remove right away. So you can see that the hair came off really well, but if you really look at the amount of hair she has left in each brow, you're gonna see that because the hard wax is so gentle, she still has some fuzz hair left behind. So it's the soft wax is faster, but you really have to analyze the skin. So right now, I'm gonna do her shape. The wax is just gonna help me to clean up overall, but the shape is done with plucking. So now I grab my tweezers, my scissors, my brush, my cotton ball, and Neosporin. So you need all of this. But before you start plucking her brow, everything that is left and do the shape, you have to apply the Neosporin. We don't use oil on the client's face. We're gonna be using Neosporin. So apply a little bit on your finger with your glove. Spread a little bit like that and go on her face and apply it on. The Neosporin, it's gonna heal any redness, it's gonna avoid pimples. And it's also gonna remove any wax residue that my client has left. As you can see, I left quite of a good amount of hair on her face. It's okay. This is how I want it to be done, because if you go too close to the shape, it's too late. If you will show it to the client and she says, oh, it's too thin, it's too late. So it's better for you to do little by little. The purpose of the wax is just to make the process a little bit faster. But the shaping, it has to be done with the tweezers. Okay, so first of all, comb your client's brows up and trim it. Just trim a little bit the ends. Sometimes you have to be careful when you're doing trimming, because some of the hair, also purpose of it is to cover some empty spots. So you don't want to trim it too short. If the client has an empty spot on the middle of her brows, you wanted to let the hair cover that. So if you trim too short, it can be more visible. So you don't want to trim too much. So now I'm gonna be trimming it down. So I trim it up a little bit, and now you're gonna comb it down. And the same thing, you're not gonna want to trim it too short, just the very ends of it. All right, so you're gonna use your cotton ball to clean up. There we go. So now it's the process that we have been waiting for. It's the plucking. Every time you're gonna pluck whatever body hair, whatever facial hair, remember you need to stretch the skin. So you're gonna use these 2 fingers to stretch her skin well, and you're gonna hold your tweezers laid down a little bit. Don't hold it upright. Just bend it a little bit to the back and use it sideways, so you don't pinch the client's skin. That's why it's very important that you stretch her skin even when plucking the brows, as it is for every wax. The stretching is one of the most important things for waxing and for plucking. So then you see that little by little, with each hair makes a difference. So you have to be careful when you pluck. Plucking is much safer than waxing, but waxing is much faster. So you begin with the wax and you finish up with the plucking. Stephanie likes her brows full, so you don't want to thin it out too much. I'm gonna do a little bit in the end, as she has those little extra hairs here. This is the brow that I use the soft wax. And when it gets to right here on the top, I didn't go with the wax right here. This skin is very thin. As you can see, it's red from here down. It's not too red in here. I'm gonna pluck. This area, it's very common to have skin lifting. So that's why I avoid applying wax right here, and I like plucking better. So anything that's risky, we avoid it. This part, you're gonna make it, you can ask the client if she wants like more wavy, or she wants something more straight, or something in between. I'm still gonna do a touch up in the very end as I finish both brows. So now I'm gonna go to the second brow where we use the hard wax. So I'm pretty sure on the top we have quite a few hair left. I could either go one more time with the hard wax, because with the hard wax is safe, you can go over some of the areas, but I will just pluck for now. I don't want to go over with the hard wax because I already put some Neosporin on it. You have to remember that every time you pluck, keep cleaning. You see all this hair on the cotton ball, they're hair that have been taken out of the tweezers, because if you accumulate all the hair here, you're gonna be plucking, no hair will be coming out. So you have to be constantly cleaning your tweezers. to grab the hair. The brows from the entire face is the one that takes the longest because you have to really concentrate on what you're doing. But give it enough time to make sure your client's happy. That's another thing. Every time before I finish with the brow, I basically clean up. I don't touch much the shape. If she likes the shape, then you show the client a mirror. Let her take a look, ask her if there is anything else she wants you to remove, if she wants thinner, if she wants shorter, you know. But you have to always be on the safe side. It's always easier to pluck and remove something later than do in the beginning, then it's too late. Now I'm gonna go and do her lip waxing, and I'm gonna do the two waxes, the hard and the soft as well. I already have cleaned her skin, I already applied the powder. So now I'm gonna use soft wax, which for the lip is the fastest and it's safe. If her skin is not thin, go ahead and use the soft wax, because wherever it touches, so from the center to the end, wherever it touches, it removes all the hair. While the hard wax, you're gonna have to go over. So don't put much pressure, just tap and tap. With soft wax, you don't want to go glue it too much on her skin. Hold her skin and pull it. So here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. She doesn't have very dark hair, but you can still see some of the fuzz hair. And you have some clients who will come for a full face and you don't even see hair. They just have the fuzz hair. But if they want to do it, go ahead, ask those questions and use the soft wax, because if they want to get rid of the fuzz, you have to use this one. If you use the hard wax, it's not going to work out. So now that I'm done with the soft wax, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the hard wax. So you grab it as a little ball like that and apply on your client's face. With this one, as you can see, I put more wax as when I do the brow, because you can really spread through. And it's okay to go on top of her lip too. Some clients have those little hair on the lips and they don't like that, and this one is pretty safe. Put some pressure. You can see some of the hair, but there's always hair left when you use the hard wax. And with the hard, you have to go. Now I'm going on the opposite direction. The first one I apply it down and peel it off. Now I'm going on the opposite direction. Lift up and pull. You're still gonna see some hair here. But with the soft wax, I'm already done. Every time before you're done with the client, move your head all the way down and move her face. And I still see some hair left with the hard wax. So I'm gonna go one more time. So if your client's concern is the fuzz hair, I would recommend you to do the soft wax. And you can still see more hair here. So basically I had to do 3 times with the hard wax, which is great. You know, if your client's very, very sensitive, she's, you know, an older, mature skin, this is the way to go. But just keep in mind, you have to kind of go over. Now, quickly, I'm gonna do her nose. Nose is only done with the hard wax. So you're gonna make the same little ball. You can have the client seated, or you can wait a little bit more until it gets a little bit dry, and you apply on your client's nose. Lift it up. I don't like going too much inside because the clients need to have the hair in there to purify the air, so you cannot go too much inside. I usually do the little corner you have, every time you put the hard wax into her nose, you have to apply some pressure to make sure it's really gluing on her nose. And also that pressure helps drying out the wax. So after a few seconds you notice it's dry, hold her nose and pull the wax. So you can see all this hair. Everything they worry about is showing off on the corner. So that's everything you need to grab. You don't need to grab anything else. Break your stick and use the other half. So I have this ball of wax. I'm gonna apply on the other corner of her nose. I think I put a little bit too dry. So if that happens, go back, grab a little bit more wax. Don't wait too long, because if it gets dry, then it doesn't really glue on the hair. The pressure is gonna help dry out the wax and glue on the hair. There you go. So here we have some hair and it's perfect. Even though you see hair in there, she needs to have those hair. So very easy and straightforward. Now I'm gonna do her face sides. I already applied the powder. I'm gonna move her face to the side and I'm gonna ask her to hold this hair, this little hair up, because I don't want her to grab any hair, any small hairs from her face sides. I just wanna grab the fuzz hair. I'll use the soft wax, preferably. Just one spread. Put your paper on. Hold the skin tight. Hold, apply pressure. Hold the skin tight and apply pressure. Go very close to the ear so it doesn't make a line by the ear. And you can see the sideburns here. Now I'm gonna apply the Neosporin right after the wax on her lip and on her face side, her entire lip as I'm done. You don't have to apply on her nose, now apply here. And on this other side, I'm gonna do hard wax. So she's gonna use her right hand and hold the little hair up. Apply the wax the way. Let's pretend the client is doing the full face and you wanted to go grab all this hair from her cheeks. I would suggest you to maybe do the sides, this very side by the ear with the soft wax, and do the cheeks with the hard wax. But we're only doing the face sides here, so you apply the hard wax. So I'm gonna lift, my wax is already dry. Don't wait too long or the wax can break. And you can see you got some, but I'm sure she still has some fuzz hair left, which it doesn't happen with the soft wax. Now, again, I'm gonna do the opposite direction with the hard wax. With the hard wax, you have to use both directions or it won't give you a good result. If your wax is too fine, it's not a problem. You can always go back and add a little bit more of wax on the top. Let it dry. Use this used end to lift and remove it off. So you can see some of the hair here too. And if your client has a little bit of hard wax residue, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do her chin really quick and I'm gonna use the paper that I'm gonna use for her chin. I'm gonna touch up whatever hard wax left on her face she has. So with the chin, you're gonna apply, She doesn't have much hair, but some people, especially more mature women, will have more hair on their face, on their chin. So you have to kind of follow the direction of the hair. You have to do in separate pulls because it's very curvy every time holding the skin. Don't apply much pressure on the wax. There you go. So I'm gonna use this remaining of wax on my paper to lift any residue that she has from the hard wax. So you go back right there. This technique we also use on the Brazilian wax whenever you're touching up with the hard wax. I always like saving a strip of wax to clean up her face. She's good. Now I'm gonna apply the Neosporin and show to my client her face on the mirror. Recommend her to come back within 4 weeks. Sometimes for facial waxing, because they grow a little bit faster than the body waxing, they can definitely come in sooner. But 4 weeks for Stephanie, since I know how often she does, is a pretty good time. So I recommend her to the front desk and rebook her next appointment in 4 weeks. Thank you so much for watching.